Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Just confirming that everything is operational and running. Just go ahead and check this over here quickly. Wait for the stream to pop up so I see it. Check, check, 1, 2, check, check, 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2. Good. All right. It's currently July 23rd, 12:22 in the afternoon, 12:22 p.m. And so let's go ahead and get started. So right now, as you see, I have the screen pulled up to be able to make, I'm going to be making more forms. Okay, so we're going to be swapping back and forth between Inkscape and Gregg, or I should say Inkscape and GIMP, the age-old process by this point. I think that this is what, the third day that I've done this. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. There we go. All right. So let's proceed. Okay. What is the first word that we have to add to the dictionary? It is going to be availability. Availability. So for that, we need to look up, I'm going to try. So one of the nice things about putting the words in, and let's go ahead and swap this back to the order, get the brush that we need, which is calligraphic brush, set it back down to 10. Okay. One of the nice things about making the forms is it's an opportunity to to practice drawing the strokes even more. So it's a win-win all around. So we're going to do availability. So for this one, and we need to reset the value. Oh, I need to set the opacity back up to 100. Spacing is 3. Hardness, everything else is set exactly where it needs to be. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is availability. And that one is, remember, the disjointed B at the end gives you availability. Copy the value. Oh, we cut the value and we paste over in Inkscape. We convert the raster image to a vector, and then we convert, or once we have the vectorized image, we then export to the directory. Because I'm running on a Linux system, we call them directories versus folders, but it's the exact same philosophy if you were to be doing this in Windows or Mac. And so I'm putting them in the directory where they will then be pushed up to the website, which is below this video. So you're able to take a look at it, and once I've made the changes possible, then you will see these added to the website. So we have availability. Availability. All right. Availability. Make sure I spell that correctly. Ability. Availability. Yes. Okay. Let me just confirm that that's how you spell it. Availability. Always tricks me. Availability. Yep. There we go. Okay, so we'll go back over here. Make sure I spelled that correctly. And you have to be a real stickler for the spelling here, because if you don't spell it right, then it won't come up in the search, obviously. So availability.svg. Go ahead and close down the file, and we proceed with the process. So we select the whole page again. Go ahead and cross through the availability, and now we're going to add multi-step. Multi-step is interesting because multi-step is interesting because it's a disjointed mu over the top for multi. Okay. Multi-step. Okay. All right. Like so. Multi-step. We cut the value. We paste the value. over here in Inkscape. We apply the change. Multi-step. SVG. And we also need to have it as hyphenated, both variants. Multi-step, multi-step, okay? So that way, if anyone searches for it either way, it comes up in the search. Okay, we go back over to GIMP. It's an old friend by now. And now we need Australian. So Australian, this is kind of a modified, or it's a made-up term almost, where we are going to go Aus, like that. Austral. So we're going to go Australian and Australian. So this is going to have two Australian, like that. Australian. And we need a little bit more of a curve in the L value, so we go Australian. Australian, like that. And put the two lines. That's a kind of a cute face. Let's go ahead and drop that there. Boom. Australian. Okay. We cut the value. We paste it over in Inkscape. Oh, that's interesting. It didn't let's do Control Z and then Control X. For some reason, it wasn't showing up. There we go. Control Shift or Alt Shift B in order to create the vector image. We then export the vector image. Australian. There we go. Australian.svg. Close the file down. Close without saving. Go back over to GIMP. And now we do Australia. Australia. Okay. So we grab the same thing. We go Australia. And this one is going to be like this. Australia. And the way we can derive this particular stroke is actually from words like aria. Aria, if we look at that in the dictionary, we start searching for it, we go aria. So you take a look at any versions where we have aria. We have variant, agrarian, riparian, wisteria, variants, librarian. So you see how each of those different words, they all are demonstrative of the ia sound. It's not quite a diphthong. It's more of a slide, if you will. So that's why we can have the value for ia. Australia. Australia. Like that. Right? So we have a little dot in the center, and that is Australia. Go ahead and cut the value. And we paste the value over in Inkscape. And another word has been added. And I certainly do hope that someone out there finds these words useful, or this particular website useful. Like I said, if anyone ever finds this stream, then it should be below. If it's still up, the website will be below the description of this video, or it's in the description of this video. Okay, so here's Australia. We close without saving, and then we go back over here to GIMP, and we do the next word. Australian, Australia, and then now we need interestingly. Interestingly. So we go enter interestingly, and that's a circle below. Okay, so there's interestingly. Got the value. We paste the value. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and convert it from a raster image to a vector image. We then export, and this is interestingly. Okay, we go ahead and close the value. We then go back over here to GIMP. We're going to add root. So that is root. And so there is root, like that. Okay, so R-U-T. Grab the value, we paste it to get root. Apply the change. Export the change as root. .svg. Go ahead and close without saving. Go back over here to GIMP. Open the file. Go ahead and add hermeneutic. So this one was her. Let's see. Her. Me. Hermeneutic. Now we have to be careful with that because that would be her hermeneutic. So eutic. Let's look up in the dictionary to see if there are any versions eutic. Eutic. Therapeutic, pharmaceutic. Oh, look at this. Do you see the ending? Therapeutic. Look at therapeutic. That is no difference. There's no difference between therapeutic and I can't speak. And hermeneutic. So all I need to do is have hermeneutic. Herma and then eutic. So we need Herman, and then eutic. Very nice. I'm glad that I searched that. So let's go ahead and add that then. Going back over here, we have HRMN, and then the eutic ending. And this would be an example of hermeneutic. Hermeneutic. We cut the value. We paste it over in Inkscape. And we apply. Hermeneutic. Hermeneutic. That should be hermeneutic. It's a funny word to say. Hermeneutic. Hermeneutic. There you go. And it refers to the theory, methodology, and practice of interpreting texts and human communication. Comes from the Greek god Hermes, the god of communication, or the god of speech. So that's fun. Okay, so hermeneutic, and that is correct. So let's go ahead and export that value, close this value, and we go back over to GIMP. We exit, or we cross that off the list, and now we have it were. So we have another phrase. And like I've said before, these phrases that are being added they are merely suggestions. It's not absolutely essential that you use them all the time, but they can, especially as you gain more confidence in your skill as a shorthandist, you you can definitely add some speed by using the phrases. Okay, so it were has been added. We can go ahead and close this. Close without saving. And we go back over here to GIMP. And that is everything from the previous day. So if we take a look at the back, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 words. Like I said, all the work that we put in earlier, well, let's see, last week and then at the beginning of this week, adding those hundreds of words are really paying off because now there aren't that many words to add. And obviously we'll find more, but yeah, little wins, right? So we have any more. Any more. And this is actually going to be 2 words, right? Because we can have control, there we go. Because any more, hold on, I'm blanking here. Is any more is a word, right? It's not just 2 words, right? Any more already exists. Is it the phrase that I'm thinking of? Oh, I've already done any more. Oh, it was the phrase. It was the phrase anymore that I have not done yet. Oh, I should have done those 2 anymore. There we go, because it can mean either the word or it can mean the phrase anymore. There we go. Oh, and there should not be a space. There should be a, there we go, anymore. Okay, so that has been added. We'll go ahead and close it down without saving. And we go back over here to GIMP. We're now going to add literally. Literally. We are literally going to add literally. So we go literally. And there we go. So there is literally, cut the value, paste the value. We apply the changes. We export the changes. Literally.svg. Okay. And then we go ahead and close the document. We then move back over here to GIMP. And then we need linearity. Linearity is, we've done linear before. So linear, and then T over the top. Linear, a T, and then the T's on the back side. Let's try that one more time. Linearity. Linearity. Okay? And that's pretty much it. Yes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut the value. And we're going to paste it over in Inkscape. Convert from a raster to a vector image. And export the file. Close without saving. Go back over to GIMP. We now have precondition. Precondition. So this is the one where, yes, this is the one this morning where I had searched for it. It's in the dictionary, but when I created it previously, I was using an incorrect understanding of the theory. So this one, it should be joined. Condition. Precondition. Okay? Because if we look at the dictionary, and if I type in precondition, so you see there's the current variant of precondition, and that is incorrect. we need to just take condition, okay? And we take condition, and then all we do is we put a PRE in front of it, and we're set, ready to go. So let me go ahead and select the file. We cut it, and we go over here to Inkscape, and we paste. We apply the change, export the change, or export the not vector, we export the vector. Precondition.svg. And yes, I do want to replace the one that's already there. I'm going to close without saving. And we have one more, which is heavily. So this is another one where we are changing the value back to the original version of heavily, because the theory, as I began to look at it a little bit more closely, I had originally thought that I would use the theory that applies to the word clear, which is here. So the one you see right now, clear. If you want to make it clearly, then what you do is you simply add another circle vowel to the back side of the stroke. But and so I thought, well, if this is clear, right? So if this is clear, then maybe, well, actually, this is clearly, right? Okay. If this is clearly, then that must mean that heavily would also be the same variant. Okay. So Control Shift A. And so I thought, well, if we do heavily, then this is heavy, and so then heavily would be of the same nature. But it's not. It's actually, it applies, it's a slightly different understanding, and that is if there's already a circle vowel, if the word already ends in a vowel, such as heavy, then what you do in order to make it the li ending, you simply elongate the circle vowel, turn it into a loop in order to show the L value, okay? And there is heavily, which is going to be the same as it was previously. So we select the value, paste over in Inkscape, and we apply the change. Okay, and then we export, and this is heavily. Heavily.svg. And we do want to replace the file that's currently there. And now we're done. So we're all caught up. As I said before, we have much fewer words that we have to add to the dictionary. We have much fewer words that we have to add to the dictionary because we've already done so many. Okay. And now let's go ahead and close down. I'm going to close down Inkscape. And I'm also going to close down the GIMP image editor. So once again, those are examples of, I'm going to discard the changes. Once again, those are examples of a vector image and a raster image. And in fact, what I'm going to do is before I actually go to the process or go through the process of opening up Zernal, I'm going to go over to the description page for this live stream, and I'm going to add the links to both of those websites. So Inkscape, these are free open source applications. Inkscape, there we go. Merriam-Webster, I want Inkscape. Inkscape. So Inkscape is an excellent vector graphics editor. Okay, it's a free open source vector graphics editor, and it just, I have not plumbed the depths of what is possible with this piece of software. It's just amazing what it's capable of. I don't want to download it, but let's go to just the page, okay? So here is inkscape.org, and let me go over to, let's see, I need my page. I need to view my channel, and then I think from here, I think I can go into the live stream and edit the live stream. Copywork and Notetaking. That is correct. So let's go over here. There we go. And I'm going to go in here and edit. I'm going to edit the video. It should be, yep, it's still working, good. And let's see, I'm going to add link, yep, Ambience tract used for this. There we go. So let's see, just before the affiliate link for the Sonke Ahrens book, then here is the Inkscape website. So these are drawing. Let's see here. This is digital imaging and note-taking websites. Okay, and I'll just add that here. Digital imaging and note-taking websites, and just do some lines here. 1, 2, 3, good. Good, and then another one below that. And so this is going to be Inkscape. Inkscape is the first one. And hopefully these changes go live after I log out. So this is Inkscape, and then we need GIMP image editor. That is the raster. That's the raster images. Here we go. GIMP. And it stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program. And it's a free and open source, it's a cross-platform image editor, and it is just, same thing, it is just incredible what it can do. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and put this over on this side, and this is going to be GIMP. Drop the link in there, and then finally, the final page is Zernal. And that's the one that you see me using for all of my notes. It's Zernal++. And we go to that page. This is the GitHub page. So you can download it on Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. Same thing. I've been very pleased with the website, or with the application. And I've used it on multiple platforms before. Works a charm. So those are the three that we have: Inkscape, GIMP, and Zernal. This is Zernal++. Okay, I think that's it. So if we go back over here, we close. Those are the three that I use. So we're going to go ahead and close down Zernal, and going to go ahead and update the page, save the video details. So now, like I said, if you scroll down and look in the description of this live stream, you will see the links to Inkscape, GIMP, and Zernal. As I said, definitely worth your time to use. Okay, so let me go ahead and close that down, and now I'm going to update my view over here. I need to open up Zernal, and then I need to go over to OBS and update the image as well. And we put this over here, so there is Zernal is set up over there. Put this guy on, always on top. There we go. We don't need to make this full screen, we make that smaller. And we go over to, let's go over to the Gregg website and make sure that we have Zernal pulled up, and it is the correct selection. There we go. Chapter 2, Section 7, which we're coming up on the last paragraph, really, of Zernal, so, or of how to take smart notes, Section 7. Nice. And we then go into the Gregg website and Gregg shorthand lookup, and we select that as well. So that is everything ready to go. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Hopefully everything is still running as it should. think I have everything set. There we go. Let's go ahead and minimize the comments and then pull them back up. Put them on top. Always on top. Boom. Okay. Ready to go. Let's go. I think I have everything set. Oh, that reminds me. Looking at the website, seeing the old preconditional, I need to go ahead and make sure that I have that. I need to update the website. So let's go over here. We're going to cd into projects and then Gregg. And from here, we then run the command to go ahead and commit the changes. Now, hopefully we don't spaz out. Okay. So it does go a little bit funny, but let's see. It did not like, what did it, 64 files changed. Completed with 2 local objects. So it did not like something. It added 73, but what was the, it did not like 64 get add. Some of them were changed, so why is it not? Worry about will, because I'm looking for preconditional. Yeah, preconditional was not added, so the words that were not changed did not actually get added to the lineup. So let me run over, and I need to do a quick search here. There we go. And I need to figure out what the command is to change a file, and then commit the changes. 1 second. Okay, so let's see here. I have altered SVG files. With GIMP. There we go. We're going to add it to the project, stenography and shorthand, and need to with Git. What is the command? Okay, I have altered SVG files, need to commit the changes with Git. What is the command? So right now it's just going and giving me update SVG to stage only SVG files. Git add modifies. Oh, okay. Well, I am using add. So I wonder why it didn't, because that is the command. Yeah, git add media gregg.svg. Are there files elsewhere? Did I accidentally send them to a different... I don't see any changes there. Why did it not... Oh. Let's see here. CD, and we're in Gregg word lookup. So what if we go up 1, and then we need to CD into Gregg word lookup, and we need to run the command one more time. Let's see if it allows us to be all up to date with the main branch. It's probably going to go spazzy a little bit. Oh, there it is. Oh. untracked. Nothing to commit but untracked file. Self-explanatory. Your branch is up to date. Untracked file. Oh, that's why. No wonder. No wonder. Self-explanatory, it doesn't have a dot. That would explain it. Okay. That would explain it. I forgot the file extension. I was wondering why it was showing as not working, but I think, let me see if I can just change the name. So we're gonna, what's it gonna be? It's move, yeah, move media Gregg self. Wow, that's a lot of selfs. That is a lot of files. Self explanatory .svg. Yeah, so we're going to change that to move media to media Gregg, and it's going to be self hyphen explanatory dot svg. There we go. Now it should go up. Now it should be no problem. Oh, no such file. Okay, so let's try the command one more time. Let's see if it makes the change. It's a bit like pruning. There we go. One file changed. Good. One file changed. Excellent. So now it takes a little bit of time for the website to update. So I'll be able to check it here in just a little bit. We might see it on the fly if I leave up condition. There we go. It updated. So you see how precondition updated. See that? So precondition was added. What are some other ones? Some other words that we did? We did heavily, right? So if we look up heavily, and heavily has been reverted back to the previous word. Beautiful. One thing I do like is how my the strokes that I'm adding to the library, they look almost exactly like the original strokes from Gregg. So, you know, a little pat on the back. At least I'm copying. I'm copying the files well, I think. So let's go ahead and continue on with our copywork. So we have good old Sonke Ahrens. He has such a beautiful German accent. Sometime if you can listen to him, there are some wonderful interviews on YouTube of Sonke, and he just has that beautiful, very light German accent. You know, it's a lot of fun. Okay, so let's continue to page 2. And where were we? We are on page 6. So where had we stopped? We had gotten just to this point. And what was that? Informed decisions. There were lots of, let's see here. Where's that? Informed decisions. By doing the work, you can trust that you might not know. Man, I love this little button. I love that I can sneeze and I don't blow out the microphone. That's great. By doing the work, you can trust that interesting questions will emerge. You might not know where you will end up, and you don't need to. That's what it is. And you don't need to, but you can't force insight, There we go. Now I see where we are. But you can't force, let's change this to highlighter, but you can't force insight into a preconceived notion or into a preconceived direction. Anyway, you minimize both the risk So here we go. Now we're, oh, make you smaller. Put you, no, don't make it full screen. Oh, stop it. Make it smaller. There we go. What is that? You minimize both the risk of losing interest. You minimize. Minimize is going to be an example where we use a long stroke, right? Make sure that is the screen updated? It does not look like it. Hold on. Am I writing? Yes. I should see a line. There we go. Yeah, good. Just wanted to make sure that the line is being sent over correctly. So you minimize. Now, min is the first portion, which is our long MN stroke. And then minimize. It's possible that we use the same idea as, we probably use the same philosophy as minimum, which is two M strokes with a jag in between. So this one would be somewhat similar, and that means that we have min, emise. There we go. Okay. And I just need to make sure we don't have any other, we don't have any other screens pulled up, so we're good. Let me go ahead and check that to see if that indeed is minimize. And it's almost okay. They do need an E stroke in between, okay? So there's an E stroke that goes in between the two. Min, and then over the top, and then it curves back around. Like that. Minimize, okay? You minimize both the risk, of losing interest in a topic, of losing, is that a backwards? I think it probably has a backwards S. Let's see. Yes, there's lose. You minimize the risk of losing interest in a topic, of losing interest in a topic you have once chosen. You minimize the risk, you minimize both the risk of losing interest in a topic in a topic you have once chosen ill-informed. Oh, I see. Okay. Both the risk of losing interest in a topic you have chosen, That's right, this is the one where we flip the S to the N in the opposite direction. Ill-informed. Ooh, this is a new one. Ill-informed. So for that one, we do ill and then informed. Boy, that is quite the stroke. Ill-informed. Then let's see if indeed that is in the dictionary. Ill hyphenated. Nope. Ill is there, okay. And then informed. and we don't have any variance. We don't have ill-informed. So what we do is we simply take uninformed, we take ill-informed, we take ill, we attach it to informed. So, and in fact, let's go ahead and add that to the dictionary as well. Ill-informed. Okay. Ill-informed. Okay, so let's go ahead and here we go. Let's try that again. Ill-informed. There's ill-informed. We select the file. Oh, no, I'm trying to select already. We don't need to do that. We simply need to keep on writing. It's one of the nice things about batching all of the files is we don't waste time. So this is ill-informed. You have once chosen ill-informed, and the risk of having to start all over again. And the risk of having to start all over again. Okay, and that marks the end of that paragraph. So now we go back through and we attempt to read what has been written. So we go over to our last paragraph marking, and it could be, hopefully we didn't lose it in the lineup, but if we did, we just search for it by words. So I'm going back through and I'm looking for, there's 2005, that's the cruise file. There it is. So it was right after the cruise citation. So there's our paragraph marker. And now we get started, okay? So we go by those, but those who, yeah, there we go. But those who have already developed their thinking through writing can keep their focus on what is interesting for them at the moment. Did I misremember moment then? Nope, that is moment. Okay. At the moment. There we go. At the moment. And this is going to be actuate? No. Accumulate. This is accumulate substantial material just by doing what they is that most what they most feel, yeah, what they most feel like doing, period. The material will clutter? No, that's not cluster. That's cluster. Clutter would not have the S in it. Okay? But they are very similar. So cluster will cluster around the questions they they cluster around the questions they returned. They returned to. Yep, they returned to most often. So they don't risk too far of a departure from their interest. If your first choice first chosen. Yep. If your first chosen topic turns out to be not as interesting, you will just move on and something notes, and your notes will cluster around something else. Maybe you will even note down the reason why the first question is not interesting and turn that into an insight available enough valuable. That's not available. That's valuable enough to make public. When it when it finally comes to the decision on what to write about, you will already have made the decision, because on every single let's see here, on every single step along the way. What is this? This is ALN. Along, no, that's not along, that's along every single step along the way. Again and again, every day, improving it gradually. Is that, no, that's no, that's not, is that gradually? Yes, that is gradually. Instead of supplanting your, instead of spending your time worrying about finding the right topic, you will spend your time actually working on your already existing interests. And doing what is necessary to make informed, oh, and that, so informed needs to be changed for the one below, so that is informed. There we go. Informed decisions. Reading, thinking, and writing. By doing the work, you can trust that interesting questions will emerge. You might not know where you will end up, and you don't need to. But you cannot force insight into a what is that? That is practical. Is that practical? No, that's not practical. That is into a practical, and then this one is going to be direction into a is that pragmatic? No, it's not pragmatic. It's preconceived. That's preconceived. Into a preconceived direction. Anyway, you minimize both the risk of losing interest in a topic you have chosen, ill-informed, and the risk of having to start all over again. Very nice. That's a lot of fun. Boy, that is such a good practice to go back and read through. I've found that to be really useful, because then you're getting like 3 exposures. In fact, come to think of it, it really is 3 exposure technique when it comes to learning information. You see the original text, you say the original, so you're training eyes, ears, mouth, hand, and then recall when you go back to reread it. That's that's very powerful. And here we go. Even though academic writing is not a linear process, even though academic writing is not a linear process, PRS, make sure we make this clear enough. Oh, come on, there we go, S, and then it curves back around. Process, PR, and then, I think that's kind of a wimpy S. There we go. Process, that's good enough. Even though academic writing is not a linear process, that does not mean you should follow an anything goes approach. Very wise. that does not mean you should follow an anything goes approach. That does not mean that you should follow an anything. Is that anything? Just anything, right? Kneeing? Yes, that's correct. Any, and then you just put a dot under it. You should follow an anything approach. Approach is APRCH. Is that, or do you have to have the, you might have to have the O, approach. Let's go ahead and see if that's the case. No need to have the O, it's just the CH. APR CH, the anything goes approach. Oh, anything goes, anything goes. Goes approach. On the contrary, a clear, reliable structure is paramount. On the contrary, I don't think I've ever had to do that before, so let's try contrary. Contrary. Let's see if that contra, TRA, let's see if that's anywhere close. Oh, even better. Okay, okay. You cut all that middle section out and you just pack them together. Nice. Okay. There's contrary. There's contrary. Okay. Need to make sure this is put on top, always on top. There we go. Contrary. On the contrary, comma, a clear, reliable structure is paramount. On the contrary, a clear, reliable, this is reliable structure is paramount. Well, I know mount, so maybe would para be over the top? Maybe this is a case where we have the prefix. This would be par and then mount. Let's see what the man says. Ah, there we go. Look at that. So pretty much exactly what we need for the structure. Pretty much exactly what we need. The only consideration is that we have to do the P and then M and T. There we go, and that's paramount. Okay? There's paramount. All right? On the contrary, a clear, reliable structure is paramount. And that's the end of this sentence. Now that is such a short sentence that, well, that's such a short paragraph. Well, I guess it is good practice to go back and try and read through it. So let's go ahead and do that. Even though academic writing is not a is not a linear process, that does not mean that you should follow an anything goes approach. On the contrary, a clear, reliable structure is paramount. Very nice. Now we get into section 8. Let the work carry you forward. So for that, we need to go ahead and close down this copy of Zernal, and we need to open a new copy. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I don't have an extra page at the bottom, and I don't. So we got through 6 pages of this book, which is really nice. Let me go ahead and export it as a PDF. Send it over to the finished copywork, and this one is called Chapter 2, The 4 Underlying Principles, and this one was section number 7. Section 7, okay? The 4 Underlying Principles, number 7. And so it's been exported, letting it do its thing. Perfect. Now we go ahead and open another version of the template paper. We're going to save this in as 2.8. There we go. So now we have the new document, and I'm going to go ahead and label this at the top. I'm going to give this the acronym of how to take smart notes. So let me go ahead and set this up so you guys can see. Oh, good. It's already updating for you. Yeah, good, good. Good. Yes, you can see the information updating as I go. Beautiful. So over here, this is how to take smart notes. So I'm going to put that here. This is how to take smart. And then this one is smart notes. And then this is, let's see, what other information do we need? Probably need a little bit more space. How to take smart notes. And this is chapter, I think this is chapter 1, but we're going to call it section. So we're going to use the little Pilcrow symbol for section. And this is Pilcrow number 8. Okay. Need to make sure the Pilcrow symbol. Pilcrow symbol is interesting. It's what you see it in legal writings these days, and that's about the only place that you see them anymore. Let me just check this out, the Pilcrow, to see which direction it's supposed to go. And it goes towards the beginning of the line of writing. So towards the beginning of the line of writing. Yeah. So let's flip this around. And this is section number 8, page number 1. Okay. How to take smart notes. Oh, and I have my N backwards. There we go. All right. Okay, then let's continue. Let the work carry you forward. So the title of the page is number 8. Let the work carry you forward. 8. Let the work carry is, there's a dot inside, I believe, isn't there? Take a look there. Oh, it goes over the top. Let the work carry you. Carry you forward. Like that. Let the work carry you forward. And then here's the next line. You may remember from school the difference. You may remember from school the difference between an exergonic and an endogonic reaction. Between an exergonic and an endergonic reaction. So exergonic, that is going to be EXR, exer, and then gonic, exergonic. I highly doubt that that word is in the dictionary, but we'll check. Yeah. We have exert, and what other do we have? Oh, interesting. Indexer must have grabbed a different version. But we have exertion. Okay, look at exercise. Exercise is going to help us out because this is exer, so we're going to use the same principle as exercise. Okay? So let's go ahead and change the form to exergonic. So we have exer, and then gonic. Exergonic, like so. Because I can't think of any other. There's no prefix where you would need the ic ending. Let's just take a look in the dictionary to see. So we've already done but how about gonic? Nothing with gonic, but what about onic? Onical, laconical. Oh, laconic. Okay, that would be helpful. Conical, laconic, harmonic. Ooh, laconic, I need to fix that one. That's not correct. That should be connected. Look at sardonic. Ironical. That would be laconical. Laconically. Laconical. Chronicler. Histrionic. Okay, histrionic actually is helpful because that's exergonic. Exergonic. Histrionic. Harmonic. Teutonic. Symphonic. Okay. Embryonic. So exergonic. I think that's probably, that looks to be pretty good as far as the shape, the overall shape. So I think we're going to go with that one. Exergonic. Gonic. Yes. Exergonic. And that's it. Okay. So let me go ahead and add that to the dictionary. A lot more of these specialty words, which are just modifications of the existing phrases, but they're good to have in there. So exergonic and an endergonic and an endergonic. Endergonic. So we'll add that. That's endergonic. An exergonic and an endergonic reaction. Okay. And then reaction. What was reaction? Let me guess. It's gonna be R. Maybe reaction like that. Reaction. It kind of grows outward. Well, let's see. Okay. Kind of close. In that all it does is it uses the IA format. So you go reaction with a line in between to show that it's reaction. Okay. Drop the period. In the first case, comma, you constantly need to add energy. You constantly, is that constantly? Oh, I just went past it. There we go. You constant. That's correct. So constantly is just the E ending on the back. So that's constant. In the first case, you constantly need to add energy. And that's with an exergonic. Need to add energy. Energy? I think that might be energy. Let's check. So NR and then G. NRG. You constantly need to add energy to keep the process going. To keep the process going. To keep the process in the second case, you constantly need to, in the second case, the reaction once triggered continues by itself and even releases energy. In the second case, comma, the reaction, clean that up just a little bit, once triggered, comma, once triggered, Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rakesh. Hold on. So let's see here. Once triggered. Man, that's weird. Triggered. Huh. That's not triggered. The question is trigger. Okay, that's correct. And then it's the disjointed. It's the disjointed T. Disjointed T. Okay, let's see here. Once triggered, comma, continues. So this is con tin eu. Is it continue or continue? Continue. Let's see. I think that it's probably just going to do the ooze ending. So let's check that. Continue. Ah, perfect. Yep. So that is continues. Continues. Once triggered, continues by itself and even releases energy. By itself and even releases. So releases is going to be R. I don't think it needs it. I don't think it's going to need the E, but we'll do it anyway. And then releases, and then it curves back down. Let me see. Perfect. That's it. That's it. That's curving forward just a little bit too much, though. There we go. Curves down. Oh, that's a little too extreme. Down and then back down. Yeah, so that's releases. The reaction, once triggered, continues by itself and even releases energy. So here's our energy again. This is in G. And we just did that up here. No need for any vowels. That's a period. The dynamics of work are not so different. Now dynamic, that is going to be dynamic. That's really too extreme. I'm sure that Gregg is not going to need it quite that level, but we'll see what they want. Dynamic. Wow. Wow. Okay. I guess I'm learning the system. That's crazy. The only difference was that it had to curve back around over the top. Dynamic. Okay. The dynamics, and then it's a plural at the end. The dynamics of work are not so different. Are not so different. Okay, the dynamics of work are not so different. Sometimes we feel like our work is draining our energy. So let's see here. This is sometimes, that's a combination word, so sometimes sometimes we feel. Sometimes we feel like our work is draining our energy. Sometimes we feel like our work is draining our energy. Energy. We just did that, right? Yeah. Energy. And we can only move forward if we put more and more energy into it. And we can only move forward if we put more and more energy into it. If we put more and more energy, is more and more, I think that's the phrase for it. More and more. You can just attach them and it works. More and more energy into it. But sometimes it is the opposite. And this is what we're hoping for, and that's what he's talking about. But sometimes it is the opposite. I think we can just do the POS for position, and it's also opposite. Let me confirm. Nope, you do need to have the O over the top. The O over the top, so you go O, opposite. Okay? It is the opposite. Okay? But sometimes it is the opposite. And then what is it? Once we get into the workflow, once we get longer G stroke, we get into the workflow, it is as if the work itself, it is as if the work, it is as if the work gains momentum. Gains momentum. This is going to be, have I done this before? Momentum. This is, there I can see at least, this is moment, so we can do momo for moment. Mo. Wait, no, it's the other way. Tom. Momentum. Let's check and see if that's correct. Momentum. Oh, well, that's weird. Mom. It's just three. It's three M's put together. Okay. Oh, that's funny. Mo. Sounds like you know you can't process your thoughts. Mo. There we go. Momentum. That's funny. Mo. Okay. I have to remember that. Once we get into the workflow, it is as if the work itself gains momentum, comma, pulling us along. I think pulling us requires the, yeah, it is the full stroke. Pulling us along. Yes. And sometimes even energizing us. And sometimes even energize. I think now I can use the use energy and then just add the eyes ending at the base in order to get energized. Let's see if that's right. Perfect. That's right. That is right. Wow. Energize. It is as if the work itself gains momentum, pulling us along and sometimes even energizing us. This is the kind of dynamic we are looking for. This is the kind of dynamic. Oh, we did dynamic, yep. Let me see if I can recall it again. This is the kind of dynamic. That's dynamic. We are looking for. We are looking for. That's the end of the paragraph. So now we go back and we check through. There's our paragraph start. We look for our paragraph marker, grab the little highlighter, and it is, you may remember from school, the difference between an exergonic and an endergonic reaction. In the first case, you constantly need to add energy to keep the process going. In the second case, the reaction once triggered continues by itself and even releases energy. The dynamics of work are not so different. Sometimes you feel sometimes we feel like our work. That should be a we. Sometimes we feel like our work is draining our energy, and we can only move forward if we put more and more energy into it. But sometimes it is the opposite. Once you get into the workflow, it is as if the work gains momentum, pulling us along and sometimes even energizing us. This is the kind of dynamic we are looking for. This is the kind of dynamic we are looking for. Okay, let's keep on going. A good workflow can easily turn into a virtuous cycle. Here's our next paragraph. Let's go to add the page below. This is going to be page 2. So this is how to take smart notes. Section number 8, page 2. Go back up here, center it on the page, and get to work. A good workflow can easily turn into a virtuous cycle. A good workflow, a good workflow let's try this again up here. A good workflow can easily turn into a virtuous cycle. Can easily, pretty sure that's easily. Let me check. Can easily turn into a virtuous. There's, oh, I should have tried to do it, but anyway, here's virtuous. Virtuos. That's right, so it curves back on itself. Virtuous cycle. Let's try cycle. I'm going to assume that this is cycle. Okay, let me see if that is correct. Go over here. And that is indeed correct. Now that's important to remember. I can see that now. If you have it as part of another word, then it takes the K ending. Cul, like bicycle, or tricycle, or unicycle. Anytime you have cycle in the as a suffix, then it just becomes K. So that's good to know. Okay, so this is cycle. Can easily turn into a virtuous cycle. where the positive experience, where the positive, that's POS and then TV. I think it might just be post. Maybe post. Let's see. That's paused. But I mean, it could be POST TV and then the TV ending. That's possible. So if you do, because that one would look like this. Positive. Or that would also be like positif, which is used in it's used for organs. But let's see here. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Wow. Okay. Nice. So we curve down here and then we curve around. So this is positive. Where the positive experience, now experience is going to be and then experience, experience. Let's see if that's right. Experience. Nope, it is just spirance. Spe is experience. The positive experience motivates us to take on the next task. Motivate. 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 I think that's probably motivate. Let's see. So you need the T after it as well. Motivate and then motivated is just the longer stroke. So that's good to know. Oh, undo. And this is motivate. Undo. Motivate us to take on the next task with ease. To take on the next task with ease. Okay, let me check. I want to check to take. That looks like an R. I need to get rid of that one. To take on. This is an O in. To take on the next. Next is going to be NEXT, and it curves back a little further. Now it's interesting though, if you look at inextricable, then it curves more towards the center. So I guess that is, it does definitely go back to the center of the E stroke. There we go. The next task with ease. With ease, comma, which helps us to get better, which helps us to get better. This is better. So we get to get better. Let's see here. At what we are doing. At what we are, a little more of a curve in the R. We are doing, which in turn makes it more likely, comma, which in turn makes it, up here we go, it, which makes it more likely that, which makes it more likely for us to enjoy the work, and so on, which makes it more likely for us to, and then enjoy. Let's see here. For us to enjoy, for us to, and then enjoy is going to be in joy. In joy. I'm pretty sure that's what that's the form. Enjoy. Let's take a look and see if that is correct. And yes, that is at least not quite as looped as the version that I have there, but that'll be okay. To enjoy the work and so on makes it more likely for us to enjoy the work, comma, and so on. And so on. And then going to go ahead and drop a sentence or a sentence marker there. But if we feel constantly stuck, but if we feel constantly, there we go, constantly, straighten it up a little bit, constantly stuck in what? Stuck in our work, stuck in our work, we will become demotivated. We will become demotivated, because we did motivate, so let's see what motivate was. And if D, you simply add a D to that, right? D, mo. So let's go demotivate. Yeah, so let's put it about halfway up. Demotivated. And then make it longer. So maybe let's try here. Motivated. That looks about right. Let's move this right about there. Yeah. I mean, I guess it would kind of work, but you know, I think I would prefer to have it on the next line down. Demotive. So we go demotivate, and then make it longer to show that it's Ted. Demotivated. Where was that? We will become demotivated and much more likely to procrastinate. And much more likely to procrast, and it goes over the top. So we go procrast. To procrast. Kras. Yeah, that one's incorrect. So let's try that. To procrastinate. Let's see if that's correct. Oh, yeah, that's right. It doesn't have to have the tenate ending. It's already understood. Procrast is enough. Okay. Procrastinate. Okay. Leaving us with fewer positive or even bad experiences. Leaving us with fewer or even bad experiences. Now I have spear, right? Experiences. And then it curves down below that, right? Let's check. Experiences. So just a single S would be enough. Just a single S. Let's see here. Experiences. So like that. Experiences. Where are we at? Leaving us with fewer positive or even bad experiences like missed deadlines. Like missed, curves back more towards the center, missed deadlines, deadlines, and that one was here, like so. Deadlines. We might even end up in a vicious cycle of failure. But before I do that, though, I need to check bad. Bad does not quite look right, but it is. So it is just BD. It is just BD. Very nice. So we have bad, BD, like bad experiences like missed deadlines, we might end up in a vicious circle of failure. We might end up. That's one phrase I do want to add. I need to check if I already have end up. End up is one that you see more often, especially in spoken word. End up. It's not in there, so I'm going to add that to the dictionary. Put it on the list over here. End up. Very nice. We might end up in a vicious cycle of failure. End up in a, and then vicious. Vicious is going to be vicious. Vicious, because it's a sh sound and then an s sound after that. So let's check that out and see. Vicious. The only thing that they want. Okay, so he does, that is his philosophy. That's Gregg's philosophy. The only difference is that it needs an extra U hook, which makes sense. Vicious. Like so. Vicious, okay? And end up in a vicious cycle. Now, cycle, we just did that earlier, and it's the whole structure. Cycle. Vicious cycle, okay? Of failure. Of failure. So this is F-A-L, failure. Okay, let's make the A just a little longer, and then the R. That's failure. That's Fischbach, Eil, and Finkelstein, 2010. But let me check failure to make sure that that is not a failure of a word. And that's exactly what's written. Failure. And scrolling down, here we go. And of course the CF, which I do KF, the reason for that is because it's Latin for confiture, which means to also referenced in, or see the original reference. So I do KF for the CF, which is the Latin, and then Fischbach. So Fisch is Fischbach. Fischbach is the would be the actual name. So Fischbach, Konfitur, Fischbach, Eil, and Eil. With that one, you use the word for wow or Eil, and Finkelstein. And then Finkelstein. So this is F in F, and then the Fink, and then Ol. Now Steen, S-T-E-I-N, that's a very common, especially a German suffix. So let's see if they have, if a Gregg has any, and he doesn't. So Stein is the only. Finkelstein. So we simply take the word for Stein and we add it to Finkel. Okay? So we go Finkel, and then S-T-I, Stein, Finkelstein, okay? And that was 2010. So we'll put that over here, 2010. Very good. And that is the end of the paragraph. So now we go back through and we read that, which is nice. That finishes out page 49, the second paragraph of section 8, which is very nice. And then after this, I'll probably take just a quick break and then be back to do some more, probably in about 40 minutes or so. So let's see here, because I've been going for, how long have I been going for? Let me go over here to my metrics. Control in. Go over to the stream. Oh, hold on, I've got it pulled up over here. So I've been going for about, let me check. I've been going for 2 hours. So yeah, that's be good. I'll go ahead and take a break, get some lunch, and get back to it. Here we go. So there's our paragraph start right here. And let's get the maca. There we go. Okay. There. All right. A good workflow can easily turn into a virtuous cycle where the positive experience, and is it just a singular experience? Yes, where the positive experience motivates us to take on the next task, and that's singular, right? The next task with ease, which oh, that's L which helps. Help me, please. That's the Cockney coming out. Which helps us to get better. Which helps us to get better at what we are doing. Which in turn makes it more likely for us to enjoy the work, and so on. But if we fear constantly, but if we feel, that's feel. But if we feel constantly stuck in our work, we will become demotivated and much more likely to procrastinate. Leaving us with fewer or even bad experiences like missed deadlines. We might end up in a vicious cycle of failure. And that was the reference, Confiteur, Fischbach, Eil, and Finkelstein, 2010. All right, very nice. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and take a break now, and I'll be back in about 40 minutes or so to do some more work. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, I hope everyone's having a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.